Alex Eala is back on the road as she begins her build-up for the U.S. Open hardcourt season. And this time, she is heading into a part of New York where tennis means something much bigger than a sport. Across Queens, Jersey City, parts of Long Island, and the northern edge of Bergen County, roughly 262,000 people trace their family roots back to the Philippines, creating a Filipino community larger than the populations of cities like Buffalo or Orlando. It is almost like a mid-sized American city hidden inside the biggest city in the country, a community that has been growing for decades, built by generations who came to America for nursing and engineering jobs, family reunification, and the hope of creating a better future. They did not come for tennis. But now, as 21-year-old left-hander Alex Eala arrives in New York for the 2026 U.S. Open, this enormous Filipino community is ready to welcome one of its own. For Eala, that connection carries a deep sense of pride, because representing the Philippines on one of the biggest stages in tennis makes her feel even more special and reminds her just how meaningful it is to be Filipino. The videos already circulating online, the clickbait titles, the clips flooding social media, and the images of fans gathering wherever Alex Eala goes make it easy to believe that she has created this massive following herself. Phones are raised, Philippine flags are tucked into backpacks, and crowds seem to appear wherever she steps. The natural reaction is to look at those scenes and think, she built this, look what she created. But before we go any further, there is a more important question to ask. Is Alex Eala actually building a fan base in New York, or is she simply being welcomed by one that has been quietly waiting for someone like her? Eala herself has said that she does not have a home tournament and is incredibly grateful when fans make her feel at home. That question matters far more than whether she wins her opening round match, where she sits, who she draws, or even what happens on the court. And I say that as someone who loves the tennis, because if Eala built this following from scratch, then the story is familiar. A rising young star creates a viral moment, attracts attention, and gradually builds a passionate fan base around her talent. We have seen that story before, and we know exactly how it unfolds. But the answer is the other one. If Alex Eala is not creating this community, but instead awakening a Filipino fan base that was already there, then the story becomes something much bigger than tennis. If the crowd was already there, if what looks like a massive mob is actually a homecoming, and if what appears to be celebrity is really recognition, then the story changes completely. It stops being just a story about tennis and becomes a story about how a scattered community can find a shared sense of belonging through a single person on a court. It becomes a story about what representation truly means when it stops being a slogan and becomes a stadium filled with Philippine flags, passionate voices, and people proudly watching someone who represents where they come from. And if that is really what is happening around Alex Eala, then this story deserves your attention. So stay with me, because if you care about those moments when sport becomes something much bigger than the game itself, make sure you subscribe, because the biggest part of the story comes later. But first, let's quickly establish who Alex Eala is, so we have the foundation before we go deeper. Eala is 21 years old, left-handed, stands around 5 feet 9 inches, and trains at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. You have probably heard that last detail many times before, so we will leave it there and focus on what makes her connection with New York so much more significant. This month, Alex Eala carries a career-high WTA ranking of world number 20, and on August 3rd, 2026, she defeated world number 3 Jessica Pegula in a rain-delayed final at the MOBBED DC Open in Washington, becoming the first player from the Philippines ever to win a WTA Tour singles title. First ever. Now she enters the U.S. Open, taking place from August 23rd through September 13th at the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadows, as a direct entry player in the main draw. And when the women's draw is revealed on Thursday, August 27th, she is expected to become the highest-seeded Filipino singles player in Grand Slam history. That is the tennis. That is a resume. But the tennis alone does not explain what is happening around her. Here is fact number 1. On August 3rd, during that DC Open final, her first WTA 500 final, with her first tour title still one set away, the roughly 7,500-seat stadium was, according to Ava Wallace's reporting for New York Times Athletic Desk that day, mostly hers. Not partly, mostly. The lower bowl was filled with Filipino flags attached to sticks, draped across shoulders and held high in the air, while fans stood and applauded every time Eala walked toward her chair during changeovers. Now hold that image for a moment and ask yourself an honest question. How do you build a crowd like that before you have even won a WTA Tour title? How do the flags, chants, flights, tickets, and coordination appear around a player who had never lifted a WTA trophy before? That is a real question, and we will come back to it. Here is fact number 2. when Jessica Pegula, the world number 3 and an American star playing on home soil, lost that final to a 21-year-old from the Philippines. She did not simply move on from the experience. In the aftermath, she reportedly gained thousands of new Filipino followers on social media. Think about that for a second. The player who lost gained fans from the country of the player who beat her. That is not what usually happens in sports. Normally, when your favorite player loses, you support your player and feel little reason to follow the opponent who just defeated them. So what exactly were those fans following? What were they responding to? Hold on to that question too, because it becomes important later. And then there's fact number 3. 2 full weeks before the DC Open final, on July 13th at Nike Ford in Bonifacio, Global City, and again on July 18th at the Globe Tower, Eala held fan-meet events in Manila that, according to reports from the Manila Times and ABS-CBN, drew hours-long queues. Fans waited outside in the heat for hours, not for a trophy she had already won, because she had not won it yet, and not for the ranking she would eventually achieve, because her career high was still weeks away. They were lining up for something else entirely. Something had already been decided in their minds before it was ever decided on the court. But what was that something? We are almost there. Here is fact number 4. The detail that should make the entire picture even more confusing. Alex Eala enters the 2026 U.S. Open ranked world number 20. That is an elite ranking and a serious achievement. But mathematically, it also means there are 19 women ranked higher than her on the WTA Tour. Most of those players are outstanding athletes, yet most of them will not step off a plane in a foreign city and be welcomed by a community that treats their arrival like a family event. Most will not have entire sections of stadium erupt when they walk onto court, and most certainly will not cause a losing opponent to gain thousands of new fans. So ranking cannot be the variable. Something else is driving this, and I think I finally understand what that something is. When I began researching this story, I made the same assumption many people make when they see the crowds around Eala. I assumed she was building a fan base the traditional way, match by match, milestone by milestone, just as rising stars such as Naomi Osaka and Coco Gauff have built massive followings through success, visibility, and the gradual accumulation of attention. So when you see videos of fans gathering around Eala in New York, Filipino flags filling the stands in Washington, or hours-long queues waiting for her in Manila, your brain naturally puts all of it into the same category. Another young star building an audience. That is a story we understand, and it is a story sports journalism knows how to tell. A rising star, a growing fandom, and a rapidly increasing curve of attention. But it is not exactly wrong. It is simply looking at the wrong thing, because the crowd around Alex Eala may not be a fan base she built at all. It may be a Filipino diaspora that was already there long before her first WTA main draw appearance, long before her first junior Grand Slam, and long before she was even born. In the New York metropolitan area alone, roughly 262,000 people trace their roots to the Philippines, with around 94,000 living within the 5 boroughs, according to the Asian American Federation's 2025 profile. And a large portion of that community lives in Queens, just a short drive from Flushing Meadows. These are not people Eala recruited one match at a time. They are families who are already there, working jobs, raising children, building businesses, attending church, and creating lives across generations, quietly waiting for someone from home to step onto one of the biggest stages in the world and finally make that community visible. She did not build that hunger. She inherited it. And now she's a person finally standing in front of it. That distinction between building an audience and being received by one is not a small difference. It changes everything about what these crowds actually mean. Take a breath and let that idea sit for a moment, because once you see it this way, it becomes difficult to see the images any other way. The flags are not simply marketing. The chants are not just organized fan clubs. They are a community finally getting the chance to say hello to someone from home. Now let's prove it. Proof number 1 is the arithmetic, and the numbers came first. The roughly 262,000 figure for the Filipino population across the New York metropolitan area is based on U.S. Census data, as compiled in the standing Wikipedia entry on Filipinos in the New York metropolitan area. While the Asian American Federation's 2025 ethnic profile of Filipino New Yorkers reported approximately 94,000 Filipinos within the 5 boroughs, representing a 9.5% increase between 2018 and 2023. Community reporting has also consistently placed a significant portion of New York City's Filipino population in Queens. Now compare those numbers with Eala's tennis timeline. She was born in 2005, joined the Rafa Nadal Academy at 13, won her first junior Grand Slam in 2022, and captured her first WTA Tour singles title on August 3rd, 2026. The community around her existed for decades before her professional career began. Filipino families were already buying homes, building businesses, raising children, attending parishes, and creating community networks in places like Woodside and Jersey City, while Eala was still learning to walk. Filipino grocery stores along Roosevelt Avenue, churches, community associations, family networks, and group chats all existed before she played her first professional match. She did not summon those networks into existence. She gave them something to converge around. And that is a very different word from build. Proof number 2 comes directly from Eala herself. Speaking from the podium in Washington on August 3rd after winning the title, she described receiving messages from family and friends around the world before the final and said she felt so much love that, regardless of the result, it already would have been a win. Pay attention to that word. Already, the love existed before the final, before the trophy, and before the result was known. She was not describing the process of acquiring a new audience. She was describing the experience of recognizing a love that was already there. That is the language of someone who has walked into a room, not someone who built the room herself. And in a U.S. Open editorial preview published on the tournament's own website on August 4th, Eala spoke about New York even more simply, saying she loved the people and describing the atmosphere as exciting and different from other places. She did not describe herself as building a fan base there. She talked about the people as something already present. Then comes proof number 3, the one that makes the alternative explanations much harder to sustain: the Pegula effect. On August 3rd, Jessica Pegula lost the DC Open final to Eala, and just 3 days later, on August 6th, ABS-CBN reported that Pegula had acknowledged gaining thousands of new Filipino followers on social media in the aftermath of the match. Stop and think about how unusual that is. In ordinary sports fandom, when your favorite player loses, you usually do not rush to follow the person who defeated them. You do not automatically follow the winner's country or community. Fandom is built on loyalty, and loyalty can be deeply tribal. But this was different. This was not simply fandom transferring from one player to another. It looked more like a diaspora watching one of its own become visible on a global stage and, in the process, deciding that everyone connected to that moment could belong in the frame too. Pegula, by standing across the net from Eala in that final, became part of the story the Filipino community was already writing about itself. She was not resented. She was welcomed into the moment, and that only happens when what you are watching is bigger than a simple tennis rivalry. It suggests a community using tennis as a way to see itself represented on a global stage. That is where the reframe becomes difficult to ignore. You do not normally build a fan base that follows a player who just defeated their favorite. You inherit a community that was never entirely about the score in the first place. And that is why the videos of fans waiting for Eala in New York, the ones with the clickbait titles that keep appearing across social media, can feel less like a mob and more like a homecoming. You do not mob someone you already consider family. You wait for them at the gate and show them they were expected. But because honesty matters just as much as a narrative, we also have to be clear about what this reframe does not prove. It does not prove that Alex Eala will win the U.S. Open, and it does not even guarantee that she will win her opening round match. At the time of this recording, the women's singles draw has not yet been released, so anyone claiming with certainty who her first-round opponent will be is simply guessing. We also do not know her exact seed number yet. We know she is projected to be seeded, but the specific position will be confirmed when the draw is released on Thursday, August 27th. More importantly, just 5 days before this recording, on August 18th in the round of 32 at the Cincinnati Open, Eala lost to world number 10 Amanda Anisimova 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. Eala won the opening set before dropping the next two, and it was her third meeting with Anisimova this year, with Eala now having lost all three. Her own words afterward, as reported by ESPN, were remarkably clear-eyed. Momentum is a thing, but it is not concrete, and it does not provide any 100% answers. That is an important reminder from a young player who understands that a diaspora cheering for her cannot hit a forehand on her behalf. The crowd cannot close out a set. The community cannot serve for the match. And there's another thing this reframe does not prove: that Eala has no organic global following outside the Filipino community. She clearly does. Her breakthrough run in Miami in 2025 introduced her to millions of viewers from all kinds of backgrounds. And this story is not about erasing that support. It is about identifying the core of the crowd that will surround her in New York and understanding where some of its extraordinary power comes from. Which brings us back to New York, back to that city within a city, and back to the hundreds of thousands of Filipinos who were there long before Eala, building lives in Queens, Jersey City, Long Island, and communities along the Hudson, raising children, caring for parents, working long shifts, sending money home, and carry with them the complicated feeling of watching your country remain relatively small on the global stage. Now they get to experience the opposite feeling, watching someone from home become impossible to overlook. Alex Eala is not simply arriving in New York. She is arriving to New York. That preposition matters, because the room she is walking into has been there for generations, long before she was born. And regardless of what the draw says on Thursday, regardless of whether she wins her first round, her third, or her seventh, she will walk onto that court with a community waiting to tell her, without necessarily saying the words aloud, "We saved this for you." On Thursday, August 27th, the draw will be released, and sometime afterward, Eala will play her opening match at Flushing Meadows, potentially as the highest-seeded Filipino singles player in Grand Slam history. I do not know what will happen on the court, and neither does anyone else. That is the honest reality as the story is being recorded. But I have a pretty good idea what will happen in the stands, because we have already seen it in Washington. The Philippine flags will be there. The chants will be there. And whether it is someone who manages to get a ticket, someone watching from a restaurant or bar in Woodside, or someone streaming the match during a late-night nursing shift in Jersey City, that connection will be there too. Not because Alex Eala built it from scratch, but because it was already there waiting for her. And now, at last, she has arrived. So tell me in the comments, are you watching from somewhere far from where your family began? If your parents or grandparents made that same journey to a country that did not always know your name, what does it feel like when someone from home suddenly appears on the biggest stage in the world? Did you make the drive to the stadium? Did you watch on your phone in the middle of the night? What does the phrase "she belongs" mean to you in your own life? I want to hear those stories, because your answer may be the final piece of the story, and perhaps the strongest proof of all